Welcome to the studio. I'm Mark Chillingworth, and this is Beware the Breach, Building Resilience in the Digital World. I am joined by a panel that includes Doric Atulia of Google Cloud, Alex Bazin, Jyotsna,
Chandrani.
Thank you very much. I knew I'd get one wrong. Matt Bazinski and Rich Corbridge. Thank you all for joining me. If I can begin this conversation by asking, what are attackers specifically trying to exploit today?
Attackers out there today, there's so many different things that they are trying to achieve now in the digital personal information, PII, they're trying to extract from organizations.
I think the other thing is we're also still seeing a lot of social focused attacks. So yes, absolutely people are scanning for vulnerabilities. Yes, there are sophisticated attacks, but there are just a lot of day-to-day trying to take a chance with business email compromise, trying to push through with phishing attacks.
Rich, you're in large public sector. You must see exactly what Alex has just raised there.
We look after the most vulnerable people in the UK. We send £1 billion out every 9 days. But actually, people aren't after the money so much in our systems. They're after the embarrassment factor.
I think it's about demonstration of power. It's about the fact that you as large organizations, you claim to have the best of talent in everything and you have a global reach. So to be able to demonstrate that resilience, there is a group of people who've proven that you are not resilient.
Doric, are there other examples of an increase in sophistication that these attackers are using and to get to their results? We've heard a really good sort of plethora of opportunities they're using there.
The exposure is so massive, it becomes a real challenge for security posture, right? So if you think about Google, they have 9 products, over 1 billion users. Not only now there is the AI factor coming in, it's the infrastructure is continuously growing because Google is increasing its users. For us, it needs to be so robust because again, your exposure is massive.
Is the increasingly distributed nature of IT and our organizations today playing a role in creating this security issue?
Wind back 5 years-ish. The business case for move everything to cloud, do it now was, and somebody else will look after the security for you. You don't need to worry about that anymore. And now you find yourself going, well, it's still my neck. It's still us that can't do it if it breaks. So the supply chain that you mentioned earlier becomes more and more complex.
It is though, I think it swings and roundabouts to a certain extent. Obviously, at an organisation your size, you already had sufficient cyber scale that you could do a lot of that in-house. For mid-size players, and I'd include us absolutely in that area, actually we gain a lot from being able to rely on the big tech players in the world.
Are you seeing that in that mid-size organisation is?
Yeah, so I think one of the pillars that we have in the security product group is tackling the question like how can we enable more security talent to focus on security? It's the expectation of the people, right? Somebody in the previous panel talked about that. Now the users are expecting certain things, and our job is to provide those seamlessly in every product that we have for the customers.
What solutions as C-suite leaders should you be considering to try and reduce the risk environment?
Do the C-suite members recognize cybersecurity threat? And do they champion it? Because it's a very invisible investment. Unlike other business cases, you say, give me X million, in X time, I'll give you this outcome. The absence of an event is the success of the investment. So it's a really difficult, it's perceived as a cost in many places.
Brian, you've been doing this for just a few years. How have you helped your C-suite peers understand this situation?
So I think there's a few things. I think what you just said there was absolutely spot on. Simplification. Sometimes we make these things far too complicated.
I just want to come back on something. I think we don't celebrate success. I think we often talk about cybersecurity when something's gone wrong. And I think the quieter moments need to be recognized as well, because I think that that changes the narrative.
One of the reasons we don't celebrate success in this field in particular is because it's a bit like pinning a new target on your back. So look at us, we're great, we haven't had anything go wrong, means crikey, lots of people are going to throw extra things at us. But I do agree with you, somehow
Maybe
we've got to
internally, quietly.
we've got to find a way to celebrate it, haven't we?
Any questions from the audience?
What are views in terms of resiliency regulations we're seeing, of course, in the UK, also in Europe, and what companies need to be thinking about?
There's a lot of focus on operational resiliency, which comes down to things like inventory. You really have to understand your critical path for the key services of the, say, in my case, a bank, right? So what are your top 100 absolutely important processes?
We've touched on AI, but another important technology that's been reshaping a great deal is identity. And how do we make identity part of the security strategy?
We've got to get it right from an identity point of view. When you've got the level, volume of customers, citizens that need to access services, the key complaint of accessing government services is the amount of identities I need to have.
To wrap up, I'm going to ask every panel member to just quickly describe how they think the attacks are going to evolve, and therefore the security posture and defences of the organisation will evolve.
AI is a huge threat. I completely agree with the technologies out there for exposing companies at huge risk, and personalization, writing better emails to phish. These are all, I think, real. It's going to happen.
AI is going to be one of the big issues that you have to protect against. You're going to use, the attackers are going to leverage AI in more and more sophisticated and more unique ways. And you have to remember, organizations, at any one of these organizations, you guys have really top talent people, but you only have so many people on your staff.
The risk appetite and making sure that our board and execs and colleagues understand what our risk appetite is and what that means, back to what's been said about the friction. You know, if we want to be super secure, we will have to accept a level of friction for both colleagues and customers.
I think that for us, it's going to be about people. It's about giving people the tools to hopefully be able to detect those, to be able to think more critically about the content that's coming towards them.
Fantastic final points from my panellists. Please thank my panellists for this studio debate. Thank you.